What's your favorite potato chip?
Lay's.
Really?
Yeah, because it's a salt.
Are you a Ruffles guy or more of a...
No, I don't like the ridges.
Why? What do you have against the ridges?
It is rough.
It is, but it's the
It's
perfect.
rough.
It's the perfect, like, dip delivery system.
I don't know about that. I mean, it's okay. If I'm gonna do the dip though, then I want those what are they? Those scoops. Those
Oh, like the tortilla scoops.
yes,
That's fair.
Now that if you're gonna dip, dip appropriately.
Are you kind of, I mean, flavor wise, are you about the spice, or are you salty sweet? Because unpopular opinion, vinegar, no thank you.
Really?
No thank you.
Oh man, salt and vinegar is the bomb.
This
It's
is where
so good.
I thought we were friends.
Wow. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Singing Success Show. I'm Ben Waites.
I'm Chase Guyton.
We're vocal coaches here on Music Row, and today we're talking about, what are we talking about today?
I believe we're going to talk about the relationship with resonance.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Well, dive into that. What do you mean when you say that?
So when I say resonance, very often there can be different connotations, especially if you are more of an instrumentalist. A great example is when we talk about where sound bounces around, we're talking about resonance. So for instance, if you're playing an acoustic guitar, you'll notice there is a hole over the strings, and then that leads to the body of the guitar. And whenever you strum, sound enters the chamber and bounces around, and it creates a different kind of quality. Even different kinds of woods and that kind of thing can create different timbres and tones within the body of the guitar. And vocally, within our head, our throat, we actually have different places of resonance that can create and mimic different timbres as well. So I think understanding that you have these different places of resonance is really helpful to the artist who maybe has been singing for a while, but they're wanting to really uncover their sound within a particular genre, for instance.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think it also makes us incredibly unique because I'm in my head and just trying to think on the spot. It's really the only instrument that has the ability to manipulate its resonance.
Yeah.
Most instruments, man-made instruments, are very well, there's only one chamber.
Yeah.
It only goes one way. Or even with a guitar, like you were talking about, the strings. Once you put those strings on, it's those strings.
That's it.
Yeah, for sure. So, so then what are the places of resonance?
Well, so as you know me, I like to get a little nerdy sometimes.
Yeah.
But let's start basic and then kind of reverse engineer into the more nerdy terms. But if we were to look at the inside and the anatomy of the head, very simply, our vocal cords live right here. And when we produce sound, air is pushed up through this column, and resonance starts above the vocal cords within the throat. And then you can have resonance within the mouth. And going behind that, you can also have resonance up in the nasal cavity, which we would also refer to as more of a nasopharyngeal sound. Here we kind of just simplify and say pharyngeal, that really nasally sound. You also hear it referred to as the mask very often.
Yeah.
So to simplify, it's just really these three basic places: the throat, the mouth, and then the upper nasal cavity.
Are there any that are better than others? Or I get this question whenever
Sure.
when I'm covering this with clients, and they want to know, well, okay, so that means, okay, so I shouldn't be in chest voice then. I should just be in head voice or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, touch on that.
So this is one of those things that's very opinion based, I think,
Sure.
because it's all about the preference of the sound that you're going for, and going back to why this can be very helpful with the genre that you're singing within. A great example of an artist who is really more in that nasal place would be, for instance, a Willie Nelson, right? And Willie Nelson is one of those artists that you either love him or you're just not so sure if that's your style.
Yeah.
And so that's a good example, I think, in terms of the way people tend to lean resonance-wise tends to match the genre that they sing within. More recently, within certain subgenres, we're starting to see that crossover where someone who's more traditionally a pop singer, we're starting to hear those vocal types more in the country genre. So it's the Wild West of resonance, if you will, in terms of genres. But still, by and large, someone is going to fall within a category of resonance.
Yeah, sure. I agree so much too with what you're saying. It is quite opinion based when you start talking about it. The other part too is my thought, especially when I hear that question of like, well, so should I not use this? Should I use this? You should use all of it. I mean, it's all the voice. It's all a part of the art of crafting something and being creative and putting that out there, you know. And so you have it's like a utility belt. And so you have all these assets and all of these tools and all these things at your disposal. And resonance is just one of those many facets that you have the ability to control if you've learned how to do it.
Yes. And that's the thing. How do I even begin to understand where I am resonating? This is also referred to often as placement, which is simply where am I placing my sound? Where am I directing my sound? So I know you are incredible at having that more oral resonance or resonance in the mouth, but also blending in that nasopharyngeal or that nasality at the same time. What is your experience? How would you describe placing sound within these different chambers of resonance? What's the sensation for you?
Oh man, it's been a journey for one, right? I mean, and when I listened back to old recordings of myself, old projects that I had done, I had no idea what I was doing, and I could tell because everything was really zoned in where it probably shouldn't have been. And the specific resonance. But as I've grown and learned, especially with Brett, and the ability to do these things, the sensation is very specific, and it takes some kinesthetic awareness, which some people are super heightened and some people aren't. And this is really just the ability to feel your body. And like if somebody just put a light feather on the back of your leg, are you able to identify, I just had a sensation there? Some people can't, you know, because I know some people hearing this, they're like, well, duh, I could feel that. Makes me get all squirmy and everything, you know. But some people really can't feel that. And so having the ability to sense that, especially the micro movements in the throat and in the head space, if I'm channeling more of that oropharyngeal type of sound, which is, again, it's kind of the mouth. One thing that in my head I think about is when sound is created, it's created in the vocal cords in the throat. And then that sound travels upwards. And now there's a bit of a fork in the road. It can go towards the mouth and just come out, or it can continue upwards and start entering into the nasal chamber, or it can kind of do both and kind of cross. And kind of do a mixture. And so when I'm thinking about those different places, like the oro, if I say, and I'll usually have people do this, if you just say, ow, ow, there's a very distinctive ping that occurs right at the back of the mouth and then goes immediately forward. And that's you know, so that's one thing. But if I said, nay, nay, it really feels way more bluegrassy.
One thing I really like to have a student experience is the isolation of one of these resonance chambers, right? And we can't completely isolate the nasal cavity because sound has to travel up through the throat. So it's really traveling up through the throat, but it's escaping out of the nose. And so something that I'll have my students do is I will have them start with the sound ng, like the end of the word song. And I'll have them hold that out, and then I'll have them kind of cover their nostrils while they're doing it. So, for example, right? And the sound stops, right? Most people don't even think, wow, why did the sound stop when I covered my nostrils? Because there's only one place for that particular sound to escape, and that's through the nasal cavity. So very often what we try to do as vocal coaches is give the singer the keys to be able to explore different places of resonance. And just based off of environment and the way people grew up speaking, the region they live in, the accent that they have, they tend to prefer one kind of resonance over another. Some students may come in and I hear them talk and they kind of talk more like this. And that's, that's a particular kind of more of a resonance that lives in the mouth. Other students may come in and they kind of talk a little bit more like this. So just diagnosing singers, and I know this is something that we as vocal coaches love to do because it's really where we get to dig in and be more specific with each singer. That's why I think the value in taking one-on-one lessons is just such a wonderful thing because it's tailored to your particular sound. But typically when we hear someone who prefers a type of resonance, we as vocal coaches will start working on the resonance that they are more lacking in to try to build that up so that they have more of a balance within their voice. And it's not that we're trying to get them to sing or sound like another singer. It's more about having the equal ultimacy within the control of resonance for each singer. And I think that's a really powerful thing.
Yeah, I think it kind of really goes in a really good direction too, because I was thinking about at the end of the day, some people might think, why does it matter? Why does resonance matter? What is the deal? How is this practical for me?
Yeah.
And kind of really what you were saying, one, there's that stylistic approach, right? Some genres do lean towards more sounds, certain sounds, but then also the ability of controlling your voice in a certain manner. Like if you're going more towards Broadway, that's a very distinctive quality of the voice. In fact, some of the clients I have that work in Broadway, they will have directors tell them this needs to be more brassy, or I need you to sound more like this. How do I do that? Well, then that's kind of where you bridge the gap of why does it matter. If you have the ability to control your resonance, then you really can be a chameleon with a lot of different things. And not to open this wormhole, but when it comes into the play of background vocals or harmony singing, you need to match the person you're with. So there's that too. Anyway,
that's a great point, because a lot of singers are more in a setting. Let's say you're in a group with 3 parts. A great example of we've talked about that more. Nasal sound like a bluegrass group, or even a new grass group like Nickel Creek, right? Yeah. I think of those singers, they are chameleons. When they sing a solo, they have a particular sound, but then they jump over to a harmony part where it's all 3 singing, and they kind of all blend within to each other's sound, and that can have a really, really big impact on the sound.
Yeah. Well, if you enjoyed this, make sure you follow us for sure. But if this is such a deep topic, there's way more to uncover with this. I feel almost we could do a part 2 of this easily.
Definitely.
But if this kind of information is helpful to you, let us know. And if you are looking for some really diagnostic, one-on-one, customized training, we can help you. So definitely check us out, singingsuccess.com.
Hey, if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Share with your friends. Leave a comment. We want to know you.